What's going on, guys? Welcome to part 2 of this 2-part video series on, well, I really don't know what to call it, but when you're walking an RV dealership lot, things you can readily see, touch, feel to know if a manufacturer is trying to cut costs in areas that they probably shouldn't be. Hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, so now we've stepped on the inside of the Surveyor, and the reason why we're in here and not the Brookstone is because the Brookstone is definitely going to fall more in line with a luxury style interior. There's going to be a lot of things that kind of stand out and definitely make it feel more upscale because they have actually integrated more into it to give you that feeling. So we're going to be in the Surveyor today, and we're going to talk about some things that, again, when I walk through and I see, they're not necessarily things that are going to make me not show it or things that are going to push me away really, really hard, but they're things that I just cringe at when I see. And one of those, again, is thermofoil. When I see this material, which is a wrapped material, it's almost like a thin plastic varnish that's been wrapped around wood underneath it, I cringe because of things like that. Now, you may be in a part of the country where it's relatively dry or it's more mild and you don't have 120 degree days, and the thermofoil might last you forever. It may not give you any problems at all. But down here in the south, especially in areas with high humidity and really, really crazy climate shift, this stuff just doesn't hold up. It'll start peeling off eventually. Now, we've been fortunate. We've had this RV for over a year, and we don't have any crazy areas that are coming off. We have a couple little edge areas, and you can usually just do this to find them. And it's not peeling off completely. It's still staying with the formation of the edge here, and it's probably going to do okay for us. But a big advantage I have is that I have air conditioning and I have power that I can run to dehumidify this unit. I also have a mini dehumidifier that I just emptied out late last week, about 4 days ago actually. And check that out. This is a humidity that it's pulling out of the air, and that humidity is going to absorb into things. It's going to cause problems if you don't control it. So if you're looking at getting solar, even if it's for the sheer purpose of managing a small dehumidifier to control humidity inside of your RV, it's not a bad idea. That's actually what my dad did. He put a really small solar panel on his RV just so he could run a small dehumidifier to get some of that out of the RV, especially during those hot, humid days. Okay, I know a lot of people knew I was going to go in the bathroom on this one. So, I walk through a lot of lower cost RVs, and believe it or not, this is what your shower wall looks like, not this. They don't use a shower surround, and that drives me absolutely crazy. I'm thinking, how cheap are we going to try to build an RV to where we can't even put a piece of plastic shower surround inside of the shower to prevent this stuff from getting bad? Because even though this may be impervious to water, this little outside finish, it's backed up on wood, which means if any little scratch occurs here, you're going to have wood get between this panel board and the wood backer, and it's going to delaminate and it's going to get nasty. I do not know why some manufacturers don't. Well, I do know. It's because they're being cheap, and it's actually a foolish move. I would never ever buy an RV that didn't have a shower surround in the shower of the RV. It just makes no sense to me. So here's another one that I know a lot of you can probably relate to, and that is cabinetry that is so cheap that when you walk up to it, you can actually already see the paper peeling away from the edge. There's absolutely no quality put into the face, the styles, or the build of the quality of the cabinet itself. So when you see them, this edging, the paper that they actually wrap around a lot of this edging is already peeling off, and that is something, if I see it on a new RV, I will quickly shy away from that RV. I hate seeing RVs that have brand new cabinetry that's already peeling, even though it's just sitting on an RV dealership lot. Imagine owning it, keeping it in storage, not having anybody walking through it, ever seeing these things to try to fix them when they occur. To me, when I see cabinets, again, that are so cheap that they're peeling even though they're brand new, that's a big no-no, and I'll steer the other way, and I wouldn't recommend you even looking at that brand. So I got a drawer partially pulled out here so you can see a few things going on. And I think what most people are going to see right off the bat is that flexible rubber hose. And you can see PEX connections that are connecting to PVC fittings. Now, this is where I'm kind of on the fence. And I say that because you're not really going to find lower cost RVs that don't do this. This is an area that when you're spending between $15,000 to about $40,000, maybe even more than that, actually quite a bit more than that, this is going to be the norm. You're going to see a lot of flexible hoses to PVC with PEX fittings. Now, this isn't necessarily a violation of any code. This isn't necessarily something that is going to have problems or even lead to problems. But I can venture to say that this is not going to perform as well over time, and you are more likely to have a leak if you see this type of connection. Again, though, there are manufacturers that have been doing this for a long time and claim that there aren't a lot of issues. And I think where most issues with this occur are when things are just done incorrectly. They haven't put the connector on properly, it's not crimped properly, it's not secured properly, and that leads to other problems further down the line. But this is, again, an area that, unfortunately, you're going to see this in a lot of RVs, even going well over $100,000. And it's not necessarily an indication that you're buying a bad RV, but it is certainly nice when you see manufacturers who have moved away from doing this and just gone with all PEX to PEX, PEX to PVC, and they've used the right kind of connectors, and they've eliminated as much of this as possible. Now, I had to come inside of our cabin to show you this one. This is the drawer glide for this cabinet drawer. And if you see this type of glide on the drawers in your RV, I would tend to stay away. This is the cheapest slide they could put on there, aside from the new ones that are going ultra cheap, where they don't even have one of these glides here, and the board is literally just sliding in like a piece of furniture where it's just wood on wood. And I don't like that. I mean, I really expect on virtually every RV these days to have nice ball bearing roller glides. And that's going to definitely give you a smoother action. It's going to last longer. It's going to carry more weight, and you're less likely to experience some type of a failure prematurely with it. Let's get back out to the RV. Now, this is one that I know a lot of people are going to want me to comment about, and that's going to be the sidewall material, the structure. Is it a stick and tin, basically like a corrugated aluminum over a wood frame on top of a steel frame, or is it like Asdel, or is it just like a fiberglass gel coat over a Luan wood backer? Do I shy away from one versus another? Well, I've actually grown to kind of respect stick and tin units more than I ever have. And that's after touring a factory to just see how much structure there is. It's actually kind of insane. If you go look at factory tours of your lower end models that are stick and tin, you're going to see they're framed a lot like a home. And there is a tremendous amount of lumber and material. And I would venture to say that the structure is actually a lot stronger overall just because of the amount of wood and lumber that they use. It's not going to be as lightweight because wood's going to weigh more than these, hollow aluminum studs that you see, but there's a ton of structure, and they're arguably going to be easier to repair. Not even arguably, they're just going to be easier to repair because if you damage one, you simply remove the siding, fix it, and put the siding back on. Now, are they going to be as pretty looking? Well, I think that is all going to be relative to who's looking at it. You may actually prefer that look, but one area that I definitely get a little critical nowadays is when manufacturers aren't using Asdel on the sidewall. That's a composite material. It's like a plastic essentially, and it is going to be impervious to water. So even if water were to get in between it and the sidewall, it's going to drain out. It's not actually going to create delamination issues unless whoever was just doing the work did a terrible lamination job, because that's happened before. But delamination has largely been eliminated, and that's the bubbling of the sidewall material because the wood backers rotted out because water's got into it, either because of how it was sealed up top or some other means, through the windows maybe. And delamination, again, has largely been eliminated because of the use of Asdel. And I think that most manufacturers who are using these smooth sidewall RVs that don't have the stick and tin or the corrugated aluminum have switched to Asdel. And for the manufacturers who haven't, I think that this is one area, because if you don't, you're definitely going to have more critical customers, because people are expecting Asdel now. They're just expecting RVs to have it. It's almost like LED lighting. If you have an RV that doesn't have LED lighting on it, you're back in like the 80s or the 90s or the 2000s when LED lighting wasn't a thing. But now it's a thing, everyone's doing it, and if you don't do it, people are questioning, well, why aren't you doing it? Are you skimping out in other areas to save a penny? Why would you not put something like Asdel, which at this point is actually relatively affordable to use compared to some of the previous types of materials? So every RV, in my opinion, that's going for the smooth sidewall look that's not stick and tin should be using Asdel. This is an area that I just don't understand why some manufacturers skimp out on. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. I think I went over a few things that definitely will resonate with most folks who are looking at RVs. And when you walk around and you look at some of these things and you see, why didn't they do something better there? Why didn't they do something over here? Why did they go with that cheap baggage door all the way around and not at least give me something a little bit thicker and more robust? Why didn't they put better quality tires, suspension, things like that in place? You'll understand and you'll start to identify really quickly if the RV you're looking at falls into that category of possibly being junk versus one that will probably last you and your family a little longer. But just think about it though, before you buy an RV, you're investing in family time and family quality. You're gonna have headaches, you're gonna have things you're gonna have to fix, you're gonna have times where you just scratch your head and wonder why the heck they did something the way they did it, and you're gonna have to fix things, or you're gonna have to rely on a dealership or manufacturer to try and fix things on their timeline, not yours. So just know what you're getting into, but more importantly, more important than anything, spend time watching videos, talking to people who own RVs to figure out if this is going to be the lifestyle for you, and if you're even going to be able to maintain the RV and use the RV the way you intend on using it before you even buy it. These are really important things to think about, because once you buy it, you're going to be stuck with it for a while, and it's going to be harder to get out of than you think. So just remember that. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you've enjoyed this video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.